Alright. So, I'm gonna turn this down a bit. You know what they say? Show must go on. I think the good news is that we're gonna have music this week, so we're gonna have a little background. Hopefully that'll carry me. I'm a little low energy, so as you can tell by the little lighting, maybe I should up the lights. Hold on 1 second. Alright, there we go. So just see how people manage to get in here this week, because we are on episode 3. It's gonna be like a short episode because we do have the NBA Finals tonight between the Miami Heat and the Los Angeles Lakers. So I'm not trying to go up against that. That's like running into a brick wall when it comes to viewership. But let me see who rolls in here. Let me do some more housekeeping as I'm waiting for folks to come in. So just bear with me. Let me reload that. Okay, that's fine right there. All right, so I'll be back. I'm gonna do a little bit of housekeeping. I'll be back. It seems like we do have a couple of people in here now. Let me just open back up. I just had to take care of some housekeeping stuff. So let's go ahead and get started. So again, just to reset a little bit, welcome to What the Fuck Just Happened. Yeah. Last night, that was interesting. That literally became What the Fuck Just Happened, because everybody was literally just put them in the game, just passing through, fam. Don't do politics. Well, you can at least listen in. If you don't want to actively participate as far as just throwing your 2 cents and stuff like that, I completely understand. But just stick around, just listen. I do appreciate you being here, and thanks for subscribing. I don't know if I pointed that out on First and Frame Rates the other night when you came through. So, and definitely, again, I would like to reach out and just thank you for getting us posted in the Maximum Football Discord. I think that was clutch. Throughout the years, I think between you being one of my first subscribers on YouTube, that's literally 10 years of. Well, you did unsubscribe for a little bit and then you came right back. But still, that whole 10 years, I definitely appreciate you. Whether we was on the same side of the argument or on different sides of the argument, I definitely appreciate the tenure that you pretty much have been on YouTube. And now that you're here, hopefully we don't have to do another 10 years, because I really don't plan on doing years on Twitch like I did years on YouTube. Hold on, let me move this mic a little closer. I had it moved away because the mic ain't showing up on the camera. That's not how I work. I keep things clean. So, all right. Now we got more people in here. What's up to everybody in the chat? Like I said, I put them in the game is here. I got the music playing because I think I got my internet going. So we're doing good as far as that's concerned. So again, this is episode 3 of What the Fuck Just Happened. And really gonna keep it short because, like I said, you got the Heat and the Lakers tonight, and you guys would rather watch that than to hear me drone on about, well, actually the first topic is going to be on a presidential debate. I'm not going to really drone on too much about that because it really wasn't a lot there, but there's some interesting things I was looking at as this thing went on. You know, I tend to be good at this, like deciphering through bullshit and pulling out some legit points. Definitely gonna look at that. And then I definitely want to, hey, what's up, villain? Glad you're here. I'm definitely going to talk about Washington versus Cleveland, and in particular Dwayne Haskins, because yeah, the pattern keeps repeating itself with our quarterbacks here in Washington, that of this color. The pattern has been there since Doug Williams, and it continues to be there. We constantly, let me turn this down on my end because it can get a little distracting when I have the volume up on my end. The music, I'm sure you guys are enjoying it, and it just seems like when it comes to like even at a rookie stage, our quarterbacks seem to be held at a higher standard than the opposite, than the lighter complected, the Casper looking quarterbacks that we've had. I'm like, hell, this fan base gave John Beck a chance, but we're going to that a little bit more. And then, as usual, it's gonna be Q&A. Again, this is gonna be a short episode, so everybody can get to their. I'm sure people are even watching the baseball playoffs. So if you're multitasking and you're watching or listening, I definitely do appreciate it. But let's get to it. So, all right. So we had this. I had to bring this back because it should have went down. Last night was the first presidential debate between Donald, I hate Mexicans, Trump, and Joe, I can't remember where I'm at any point in given time, Biden. So, again, you see the tail of the tape. Honestly thought a fight should have broke out. The only way this debate was going to get settled the way it went was by a fist fight. They had to throw hands. That's the only way this could have it could have been better, because it was like everyone's saying, it was a shit show. Like, Trump was constantly interrupting, like my boy Bills, we was actually talking a little bit before the stream, and basically Trump grandstanded the whole entire time. He basically did what he could to keep Biden from getting his message out. It was more or less, if I can keep the focus on myself, but at the same time keep it from being Biden's message, then I've done my job. It's not by accident. This is pretty much, you know, the thought process of Bills, and I tend to agree with them. It was interesting because after the debate, it was interesting because I posted on Facebook about, let's see. So Villain and Black was like, I didn't watch, but I heard some clips and started laughing because I knew what was going to happen. Honestly, I knew this was going to happen months ago. I'm like, from the moment that the Democratic primary started going to, shoot, it kind of started with the Democratic primary. The way that went, that was a sham. And And the fact that we're being asked, and in some cases bullied, into backing Biden. You know, sometimes it's like with allies, like the ones that I apparently have, who needs enemies? It just seems like we're being asked to back Biden, like we were being asked to back Hillary Clinton. And Biden is basically a corpse. And I'm like, somebody asked me a question on my Facebook post, and that degraded into another shit show because somebody apparently doesn't want me talking bad about Biden. I'm like, I don't know why people get this emotional attachment to candidates, and Biden in particular. You basically are marching him in front of a firing squad. Trump could have this man's lunch if he wanted to. That is sad to say. I am being critical of my own party because we definitely could have had somebody much younger and more sharp in the position that Biden was in and would have handled Trump when Trump tried that bullshit grandstanding. Could have had, I'm like, in particular, Tulsi Gabbard. We definitely, she, first of all, her military bearing alone shredded a couple of people in the Democratic primary, to include the Biden's running mate, Kamala Harris, whose campaign pretty much ended when Tulsi handed her ass. And people still believe that Harris would have been able to withstand this. I don't even think Harris would have been able to withstand what Trump was putting Biden through. I think Biden performed admirably compared to what Harris would have done. But I feel like Tulsi Gabbard would have handled it much better. Would have handed him his lunch, and would have been the first time that, because if you think about it, Tulsi Gabbard, I don't know how this transitions to, hey, what's up, Antonio? I don't know how this conversation turned into Tulsi Gabbard, but I keep bringing up Tulsi Gabbard because she handed people their lunch. She should be on this stage fighting Trump, not Biden, not a corpse. So if Tulsi were up there, first of all, you would have had a currently serving military member debating the current commander-in-chief. You know how odd that would be if one of your subordinates is handing you your ass on national TV? Trump being a CEO of sorts, of whatever, I'm sure he would hate to have one of his underlings or subordinates hand him his ass. It's one thing to do it in private, but it's another to have it done on national TV. Honestly, this debate, Trump handed his own ass to himself. I think he actually owned himself when Biden threw out that whole... See, Biden didn't realize what he did with the whole smart remark, but I felt like Trump took it and owned himself with it. He's like, don't ever mention me with the word smart. Well, you damn right we won't. I'm sorry I made that mistake. All right, we won't mention you and smart in the same sentence because it obviously doesn't fit. See, a younger, and yeah, I'm saying this now outside the pressure of a debate, but I'm reimagining this debate with a younger and sharper candidate. I've seen clapbacks in real time. Hell, Kamala handed Biden his ass on the first primary debate. That was a real time. Well, it was kind of set up because obviously she couldn't handle a real time. She didn't have a real time clapback for Tulsi. So, all right. So, Villain Black was like also a draft dodger. Yeah, he dodges the draft. Anything that has to do with hard work, and perseverance. He knows nothing about. He doesn't even know anything about empathy. You know, his father never taught him that, and neither his mother. Let's see. So Antonio was like, I thought the debate was funny but bad as well. Yeah, it both can exist. It was bad. It was horrible. It was trash, utter trash, and it was funny at the same time. I was waiting for the fist to fly. Shoot, and the moderator Wallace, I was waiting for him to be like, shut the fuck up. Like, oh, he literally could have done that in this debate. And it's funny because Biden was the first one to interrupt it. Anybody. So, you know, if we talk about, you know, somebody who interrupted, I'm like, Biden did it first, but Trump did it the most. He interrupted everybody. He interrupted commercial breaks. He interrupted bathroom breaks. He interrupted the solar flares. He interrupted the Super Bowl halftime show. He interrupted everything. And here's the thing, for you Trump supporters. Obviously, you're going to back him no matter what. You guys are idiots. First of all, I'm going to tell you straight up, you guys are idiots. First of all, he just showed you how he operates a boardroom. It's chaotic. It puts unnecessary pressure that's not needed, and it's not validated whatsoever. He interrupts every thought you have because there's a fear that he has in what you're about to say. Remember I mentioned earlier about Tulsi handing him his ass as a military member and he be the commander-in-chief? He doesn't want to look bad. That's his biggest fear. When his taxes came, the expense report on his taxes or whatever he paid in 2016, 2017, it wasn't, I look at that and I'm like, I don't think it was an issue of he was being paid by somebody. I think it was embarrassed to how much money he was spending and what he was spending his money on. And at the same time, took advantage of loopholes, which had been there for quite some time. That's why a lot of people on the left talk about closing loopholes in the tax code. Closing loopholes, you won't have a situation where Donald Trump and others like him, Hillary, don't forget they're friends. As much as you think they're enemies, they are friends. They're just pretending. They don't neither one of them give a fuck about any of us. But yeah, they take advantage of loopholes. Shoot, hell, on our level we don't have a bigger loophole in the tax code, but we do take advantage. It's called tax credits. I think some people are going to school right now because they want to take advantage of the college credits. I'm like, the more that the government feels that you're doing to whatever better yourself or take advantage of its resources, you get a credit on it. Even electronic cars, people who get electronic cars just get a tax credit. People donate, that's a tax credit. One thing I will say with Trump, that's smart business. I'm like, if you can write it off, do it. Like, you pay for it, but you do it. I'm like, he's paying his daughter money. He says a write-off. If the law allows it, that's not his fault. But he is a tax dodger, and they said there was a bit of tax evasion going on there, and you know, especially they locked up Wesley Snipes for the same exact thing, and they're still dogging him to this day. Trump should be in trouble along with his kids that are also part of the whole scam. But back to this debate. So obviously the biggest moment of this debate, and I'm just doing a time check, the biggest moment of this debate was when Trump was asked to disavow white supremacy. Now, he's been in the past repeatedly asked to disavow, and begrudgingly he has. When you have to do it that way, you really don't want to say it. You really don't mean it. So people keep bringing up old videos of Trump saying, I strongly disavow. Hold on. How's he holds his hands like this? It's like, I strongly disavow any white supremacy, any whatever, however he says it. And he really doesn't mean it. You can tell when he does these speeches, he doesn't mean any of it. He's just reading. He's like, okay, let me find something that I can read real quick. Let's see. Okay, hold on 1 second. I'm gonna find something to read, because there's a difference between, you know, just reading and not really are into anything versus just being able to, on the spot, be able to okay, so I'm reading from my personal training fitness magazine here, and I'm just reading safety concerns. You don't need to know, I'm just reading here. Okay, so this is what Trump does. The position stand states that most resistance training injuries in older people occur among inexperienced exercisers. Okay, that's what Trump does when he's reading a speech or whatever, or he's making a statement that he doesn't really mean. There's no feeling into it. He's just reading it. It didn't come from him. He doesn't feel it. Now, when he's not reading anything and he's not off a teleprompter and he's just going off the hip, that's him. That unhinged maniac that you saw last night, that's him. Crazy nut. Now, I'm gonna read that same sentence. This is how I read it. The position stance states that most resistance training injuries in older people occur among inexperienced exercisers. That's how it's done. So, Trump disavowing white supremacy is not what he really means to do. He does it because people tell him he has to do it. It's not because he wants to do it. He doesn't disavow white supremacy. And this man pump faked big time. This was the biggest gaffe of any debate I have ever been witness to in my life. I'm 40 years old. He literally, like, they first brought it up, and he said, like, when they asked him initially, and this was the moderator, asked him, well, are you willing to whatever disavow white supremacy? The first thing he did, in a low tone, you could barely hear him, he was like, yo. He said it underneath his breath. Doesn't sound too confident that he wants to say it. And I already hear the Trump supporters, the the people in the peanut gallery, they're already saying, well, there it is. He said it. He said it right there. And then they'll bring up the old footage or whatever. And I'm just like, look, when you talk under your breath, that means you didn't want anybody to hear. You didn't want everybody to hear what you said. I would have told him to speak up so everyone could hear you. See, that's what a sharper, younger candidate would have done. Biden would have jumped on there, but like, say that again. Say it a little louder so everybody else can hear. Because that was the only time he said it. He didn't really say it. He just said, yeah. Like, they asked him, are you willing to do it? He was like, yep, like underneath his breath, so you could barely hear him. And then when he was about to get into it, then he goes pointing the finger at Antifa, Black Lives. I don't even think he mentioned Black Lives Matter. And that was actually kind of good that Black Lives Matter may have not been mentioned. But I think this is where Biden got confused. See, this is the thing that people didn't understand. Biden gets confused easily. They want to use the excuse he's old. Trump is old too. As you can see the age on the screen, 75 and 71, they're both in their 70s. One doesn't know where he is at any given time, and the other one is just a nut. A racist nut. So Biden says this line about Antifa being an idea. I was like, no, that's Black Lives Matter. That's not Antifa. What are you doing? When I heard that, I cringed. I was just like, oh, no, That's not, I need some water. That's what that's telling me. That's that's how bad this debate was. I need some water. Good grief. So Biden got confused at that point. He said Antifa was an idea. No, it's Black Lives Matter was an idea. Not it's not necessarily the group. It's more of an idea. Antifa is pretty much the group. Whether you like them or hate them or whatever, that is a group. Black Lives Matter has an organization, which, to tell you the truth, I don't like the fact that it's attached to the Democrats through Act Blue. They need to be their own separate. So when if I were to, because I haven't sent money to them, but if I were to, they need to have their own email address. They have to have their own PayPal, whatever. I would donate to Black Lives Matter if they were a separate organization. Because obviously the Republicans don't have Black Lives Matter under their Republican Party. They don't have really anybody, last I checked. Maybe I need to check again. Maybe they got the Proud Boys or something like that. The New Tea Party. I don't know. The KKK. And so in that moment, I thought Biden was kind of confused. So let's see. So the next moment, like I said, was the biggest gaffe I ever seen in my entire life. And that was the fact that this man pump faked. He literally froze for a few seconds like a deer in headlights. Pretty much like the Milwaukee Bucks when they got beat in the playoffs. But yeah, he pretty much froze like a deer in headlights, and it was you can't get around that. How do you explain you freezing? Someone who isn't supposed to flinch, the person that's not supposed to show weakness, it's like this. Doing the what's it called, the fish lips? Cause he's in mid like he did that. That's what he did. He definitely is about that white supremacy. He is definitely about that shit. He is about that life. It's in his blood. That's another line that Biden should have dropped on him. Because I think earlier Trump had said something about, oh, you can't handle this. It's not in your blood. Or shoot, the moment that he couldn't disavow white supremacy, it was like you can't disavow it because it's in your blood. How about that? See, we need better people around Biden to advise him about these things. Like, look, we got some clever clapbacks that the moment because we know he's gonna do this. But anyway, like I said, I did point out the Biden confusion. He was actually confused on another point, and that was the Green New Deal. It looked like he was trying to explain the Green New Deal, but the perception of him explaining it was like he was for the Green New Deal, because the question was like, are you for the Green New Deal? And he literally said yes. See, this is what people are not looking at. These little slip-ups here and there. Yeah, he's 75 years old, but still, shouldn't know. And he did kind of clear it up, but damage was already done. He already said that, yes, I do agree I am about the Green New Deal or something like that, and was about to explain it. And it was like, that's not because I think he was screaming before that, that's not my plan. And like I said, this is Biden not fully aware. He's basically a shell of his former self. I'm not saying that he's not good. I'm just saying that he is not as good as he used to be. Note the public shame on his side, his plagiarism. Meanwhile, Trump is womanizing. So, and you see the deferments are even on both sides. So, but that big one about Trump dodging Vietnam, that's something. But I think the cold, chilling moment of the night came from Biden when they talked about in reference to the pandemic and pretty much laying blame at Trump's feet for this, which he rightfully deserves. It was under his watch. The fact that Biden painted this picture of a family sitting at the dinner table at the empty chair where a loved one used to sit. That hit me. And that shit hit a lot of people. There's 200-something thousand folks gone because Trump knowingly didn't react fast enough. Something makes me think that Trump wanted those people to die because he needed people not to vote against them. That's my theory. I know y'all can get mad. Any Trump supporter is listening to this, and after they hear that, if you come at me on my Twitter, which is at DJ81, you're free to get at me there. I'm on Facebook. If you're in Columbia, Maryland, we can meet at Wild Lake High School. But I look at it like this. And none of you guys do not show up at the voting booth, because that was the other thing about Trump disavowing white supremacy. The man was like, when they mentioned the Proud Boys, this dude was like, what was it? Stand back and stand by? The fuck's that supposed to mean? It's in his blood. I'm telling you, it's in Trump's blood to be a white supremacist. He's running Hitler's playbook. I've been saying this for quite some time. I've been saying this since 2016. I don't know why no one believed me, and now we're seeing it. He's like, why hide? But what is it? So yeah, Biden. Just going back on Biden, he paints that picture of the missing loved one, brother, mother, father, sister, son, daughter, grandmother, grandfather, great grandparents, aunts, uncles, second cousins, wife, husband. It pretty much anyone could be that empty seat because 200-some thousand people are gone. So I thought that was a really gut-wrenching moment for him to say. But the other one, I didn't realize how low Trump went with this. This man went. I'm like, he went after the one that was alive, but he also went after the one that was dead. A soldier who died of a terminal illness. You go after him as a veteran? Fuck you, sir. Fuck you. That is not how we do. That's not how soldiers who served honorably are to be treated, no matter if they are the son of your adversary. Because Biden didn't go after your kids, and shoot, at this point he has every right to go after you, your kids, everybody outside of Barron. Tiffany can get it too. And I mean Tiffany Trump, because she's now a lawyer and is on the payroll. I thought she was different, but nope. She is now on the payroll, so she will probably be speaking on his behalf at some point. So I was holding out hope for her. She seemed like she was kept to the side. Like she I'm not even going to go there, because that would be talking about women's looks. But they didn't hold her in high esteem, it seemed like. And Trump has this thing with having the most beautiful thing next to him, which winds up being his daughter. Ivanka, and not Melania, which is kind of cringy at the same time. That he's more cozy. He was more cozy in pictures with his daughter than he was with his wife. And he's definitely more cozy with them porn stars. But anyway, I was surprised he didn't have VD. As many people, and not because of who he slept with, the fact that how many he did. He basically cheated on his wife the whole entire time. He's probably still cheating on her. I'm like, they just revealed that the reason why she didn't move in initially, because she wanted more money, because she didn't like the fact that she was being dragged across the White House lawn over this affair with whatever that porn star's name. No one even remembers who she is. Stormy Daniels. I actually happen to remember it. It just popped up. I wasn't really caring if I remembered. Time check. Okay, I got like 20 minutes. But yeah, he could have easily gone after all his kids except for Baron. He could have gone after the fact that this is one thing that a lot of people don't know. This is why I think Trump should have taken this pandemic a little more seriously. Even though he said, let me see, civilian black is like, and his kids are stupid as fuck. I think one of his sons does drugs. Yeah, it's Donald it's Junior. It's Donald Trump Jr. He looks like he's wrapped up on cocaine. He's a rock star. That's what it looks like. But a little known fact. Donald Trump's grandfather died during the 1918 pandemic, Spanish flu pandemic. Ain't that something? I'm like, if you want to fact check it, look it up. I the only reason I'm bringing it up because that's what I did. I looked it up. If for some reason I'm mistaken, let me know. But that's kind of ironic that he doesn't take this pandemic seriously, but yet his grandfather died of a similar pandemic. Yeah, you're right. Oh, the irony. Exactly. Doesn't care that 240. He didn't even care his own grandfather died of it. He didn't miss a beat. Bet you his father didn't even tell him that that's what happened. He probably told him some lie like, "Oh, my father, your grandfather died in a railroad accident." That's probably what he told him. Now here's $5,000. Do what you want with it. So, but yeah, Biden could have gone after. But like I said, a younger, more sharper candidate, Tulsi Gabbard, would have handled that with ease. Would not have missed the beat. Could go down as much as she would go and then come back up because she would find a way to turn it, to make it about her message, how she would be better. And I felt like, and I was talking with Bills about this before, I felt like Biden could have done all that and avoided being in the weeds by pulling it all back and saying, well, these kids never worked a day in their life. Their fathers never worked a day in their life. Their father before them didn't work a day in their life. The kids, each generation was handed something where they didn't have to work a day in their life. They don't know what it's like to be a blue collar worker the way I was when I grew up. My folks were poor. My folks had to work for every penny. Shut up, Don. Had to work for every penny. See, that's what I'm saying. Sometimes you can say shut up. I'm like, if he won't stop, correct him, put him in his place, and get back to your point. You know, I'm like, this is kind of unisex now, but it seems like, you know, your significant, like that, the way Trump was acting was like somebody's significant other all constantly nagging him, whether it was male or female. I'm like, you definitely saw the male version of a nag coming from Donald Trump. So, yeah, I thought that was interesting. So just fast forward, it went off the rails real quick. There's really nothing to get from it. There was nothing there. But once again, I go on Facebook and I post about this and I get bullied once again, or the attempted bully. I posted on Facebook. I'll pull this up. Y'all won't see it, but I'm gonna pull it up on my phone because I like to use my phone when I quote myself. So I posted. There's two posts. I'm gonna read the funny one first. That one got a laugh. I feel like all those teams that passed on Aaron Rodgers back in the day after watching this debate. Yeah. And then the one that someone felt the need to try to bully me, tell me shut up, like for like, how many times did he tell me shut up? Like 5, 6 times? He couldn't say anything else. I said this. And y'all bullied me in February for this? I saw this coming a mile away. Everyone takes an L for what we just witnessed. Everyone loses. L for this debate. No one won. No one came out looking good. It was a mess. And we need a mute button for the moderator. Because Chris Wallace is not raising his voice. He doesn't even look at... And what was that shit on his lip? No one even... I don't think anyone even asked about it. Because he had this like weird lump on his lip. And I was looking at like, what the fuck is that? Who was he messing with before the... like Chris Wallace... like Chris Wallace went downtown before the... he knew he was in some shit before he got into some shit with this debate. But anyway... Let's move on, because this was a mess. I really hope. Okay, here's forecast. Next week we have the vice presidential debate. The only one that they will have. They should have more. So it'll be Pence versus Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris should eat this man alive. There's no way Casper should survive this. If he survives this, she shouldn't be vice president. She shouldn't be Biden's running mate, because just like it should have been an easy layup for Trump to beat the crap out of Biden in this debate, which he did not, then Harris needs to just. I'm sure she can run circles about. I'm about to say Biden. I'm sure she can run circles around Pence. Pence just stands there and just looks pasty. He just stands there, and it's just like he literally walks around with Trump's dick in his mouth. Yes, sir, Mr. President. Yes, sir. That's exactly what it looks like. So, all right. So, not necessarily moving on to positives, and I kind of cut into it. Football. Yeah, the sport that Trump claimed he brought back. Actually, he was talking about the Big Ten, but that was a lie, among many other lies he told. Everyone knows he's a liar, so it's not surprising. But anyway, okay, so the Washington football team, or the Red Wolves, lost to the Cleveland Browns. It's not shocking. Well, in a way, it is. It was shocking because Dwayne Haskins threw 3 interceptions and fumbled a ball away. The fumble wasn't necessarily his fault. As you see there, that looks like Myles Garrett. And Myles Garrett, that looks also like Jerron Christian. This picture, I didn't realize how spot on this picture was, because that's pretty much what Myles Garrett did to Jerron Christian all day. He literally sat there and had this man's lunch. So yeah, so Washington lost 34-20, just like the Baltimore Ravens lost to the Kansas City Chiefs 34-20. So I know Washington and Baltimore, it's gonna be 2 angry teams playing on Sunday. That's gonna be interesting. But let's go back to Haskins, because this disturbing pattern keep popping up with our black quarterbacks in Washington. Every time we get a black quarterback in Washington, the criticism is much greater. Is it implicit bias amongst our fan base to give the white quarterback, the Casper pasty looking quarterback, that will have, no matter what skill level he is, more of a chance, a longer of a leash than our black quarterbacks? Why are our black quarterbacks held to a higher standard than their white counterparts in Washington? I'm just talking specifically in Washington. To tell you the truth, it's relaxed a little bit league-wide. I'm specifically talking about the Washington franchise. Every single time, Doug Williams, Donovan McNabb, Rodney Peete. Yes, we did have Rodney Peete for a little bit. Or did we have Rodney Peete? Yes, we had Rodney P for a little bit. He never got on the field, but I'm sure if there was a Twitter back then, they would be like, "Why is he back there? Why can't we have Kerry Conklin?" But that would have been the thing. RG3, Jason Campbell, literally the mirror image of Dwayne Haskins right now. We're basically repeating history. Because remember, Jason Campbell came from a national championship team in the Auburn Tigers. I know Alabama hates hearing stuff like that, but who cares? He came from a school that ran the ball a lot because he had Cadillac Williams and Ronnie Brown in the backfield. At least I think they won a national championship. I could be wrong. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. More than likely, I think I am wrong, but I like to think I'm wrong because if I turn out right, I can celebrate. So, tip-off's not gonna be actually. It's not gonna be exactly at 9. So y'all can hang out for a little bit longer. So Jason Campbell gets into the league, and he comes in he basically has the whole Joe Gibbs era. And let's see. Dylan Black is like, they should have split with USC that year. That was before the playoff system, the BC. Was that the BC? That was. I'm trying to figure out because the last when they won, this was before the BCS playoffs and the national championship, where you could have co-champions. Because I remember in '98 it was Michigan and somebody else that were co-national champions. I think that was the last time you seen co-national champions in college football was in '98. John Jansen, who used to be a right tackle for the Washington franchise, was on that team. So he's. I'm surprised people don't bring him up more often in Washington's history, but he was great at right tackle. Then we had Chris Samuels at left tackle. We seem like we have good tackles. Jim Lachey. I think Bostic was a guard. I think Jacoby was a guard, maybe a tackle, but they were smaller back then. But anyway, so back to Jason Campbell. So Jason Campbell, pretty much every single year he's in, has to learn a new system, new playbook, play calls. I don't know how he did it, but he had been experiencing that since college. So he never really got to the point where he got comfortable with the offense that he was in to really say, hey, I know what I'm doing. Because you talk about, he was a quarterback, he had an arm, just like Dwayne Haskins has an arm. Jason Campbell had potential, just like Dwayne Haskins. Let me see. Jason Campbell had potential to be a franchise quarterback, just like Dwayne Haskins. Now, I'm not going to put RG3 because we're talking about pocket quarterbacks. And Griffin definitely was not a pocket quarterback. I know that he tried to be, and that wasn't going to work. And whether he influenced that change, which was against his will, not against his will, but something he shouldn't have never done. He should have just been, because basically the person that he's mentoring in Baltimore is the person that Griffin was supposed to be. Let's keep that a buck. He was never going to be a pocket quarterback. But he could to me, I felt like Griffin could read defenses better than Lamar Jackson. It's just that Lamar Jackson was a better athlete and more suited for football than Griffin, because Griffin would break like a twig easily. Luckily, he's been able to stay off the field when it matters. But he is part of that Heisman backfield, though. He will get in. He probably will get in Sunday. I wouldn't be shocked if Griffin scores a touchdown. Too bad there won't be anybody in the stands. I can imagine the RG3 chant breaking out. But anyway, so Jason Campbell, eventually when Mike Shanahan gets there, trades for Donovan McNabb. Now Donovan McNabb, another pocket quarterback, black quarterback. All of a sudden within the same year, people are like, oh, he can't run the 2-minute drill and blah, 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 blah. And they're looking at the backups. They're looking at Rex Grossman over Donovan McNabb. Are you serious? How long did the fan base stick with Rex Grossman? They weren't rashing him like they were doing McNabb. They didn't rash John back as harshly as they were doing Donovan McNabb. Let's see. You had then of course the 2012 draft, Griffin and Cousins drafted together. Griffin wins Rookie of the Year, is clearly the better of the two quarterbacks according to that year. Suffers an injury, Cousins comes in and shows that Cousins has potential in the offense, the way the pro style version of it versus the Griffin version of it. There's two offenses on that team, which I still think today was brilliant that the Shanahans could have. They had Kyle's passing attack and Daddy's talk about Mike run game all in one, and brought in Baylor's offense for RG3. I thought that was brilliant. That would have lasted a long time because now it's the RPO. But yeah, so Griffin gets hurt. He forces himself back the next year because he doesn't want to lose the starting job. Gets benched with 3 games left, even though he's still healthy. Mike Shanahan gets fired. In comes the lion ass bitch, Jay Gruden, says I'm gonna work with Griffin. Turns out that no, he put out the code red. Told Trent Williams, hey, I know you got a new contract. Go to the spot that I usually take my side chicks to, and go have fun. We'll play Detroit without you. And Griffin proceeds to get killed. Meanwhile, Cousins rises, and there's little to no harsh criticism for when Cousins struggled. Because remember, Cousins looked like he was done. In his own words, when he tried to start the 2014 season, he was like, I was not ready. That's 3 years. Let's see, 12, 13. He's 3 years in the league, and he said he wasn't ready. And y'all allowed that. But yet, let's fast forward to Haskins. That man hadn't even played a full rookie season, and y'all ready to give up on this man. Y'all was screaming you like that. Even though he was robbing the franchise of money. Franchise gave it to him, so I don't blame him. But this man was who he was. Y'all were even screaming for Corey, the dude that used to start for the Browns, and he became a career backup, and y'all wanted him. He's backing up in New York. I forgot his name. Y'all screaming, give that man a chance over the likes of what's the one black quarterback we had, the dude that wound up being a star in the XFL at quarterback. He was being, ridiculed even then. So we look at, again, Dwayne Haskins has the 3 interception day. Easily, everyone could see it. I saw it live. I could tell live that he was staring down receivers. Wasn't really looking people off. He wasn't doing that all game. Dwayne Haskins is at a stage in his first, as he builds up his rookie, he's in his second year, but he's learning a new offense, and he's kind of in his game development is still in his rookie year. Basically what I'm saying, he's still a rookie. And people are ready to give up on him. But if this was Kirk Cousins, I didn't hear anybody talk about, I heard people talk about let's trade Cousins for whatever, but I never heard of anybody that's like, that nigga sucks. Get rid of him. I had no faith in him. Like, no, they stuck with him, and years later in 2015, on a hot streak towards the end of the season, and a lot during 2016, that's when he got good. It caught on with him. What I'm here to say is that Washington just has a problem with black quarterbacks. Let's just call it a buck. It's almost 9. Let me see. So, okay, so villain in black is like, it seems like the black QB has little room for error. Same with the coaches, but particularly in Washington, I just think there's an inherent bias. There is an inherent bias on black quarterbacks that are slated to start for Washington. For some reason, they're held to a higher standard than their white counterparts. I'm like, there's a lot of development talk when it's a white quarterback, but it's a sink or swim when it's a black quarterback. I'm like, you got sites like 106 The Klan constantly talking about black quarterbacks. These little dog whistle remarks. Chris Cooley's even in on it too. It's shameful. I see it on Twitter. I understand that sometimes Twitter shows me what I want to see, and I don't want to see this mess with going after our black quarterbacks. There are people still going after RG3. He's not even on the team anymore. We see what Cousins is doing. His father's preaching hate, and you see his players suffer. You see he went to a black wide receiver finally, and look what happened. Breakout. Tell you can't be MAGA with the ball. You got to spread it around. Everybody gets an equal turn catching passes. You can't just be throwing it to the white receiver thinking you got a connection because y'all the same ones. The point of being a quarterback is being able to spread around. And for the most part, Haskins has done a good job for what he's been dealt with. Let's not forget about let's add perspective to this. It's his second offense and technically his second year with a rookie year amount of games, less than that. Wasn't really given any guidance all of last year. He was just go do it. He basically has a base. What I'm saying is that with Dwayne Haskins, they're rebuilding his base. He is going to struggle. The team is going to struggle. Some of you fans that don't know what a rebuild is like, you need to shut the fuck up. Honestly. A lot of you crying, talking about, hey, he should have seen this, and oh, this is winnable. I'm like, every game is winnable in the NFL. All teams have the potential to win games. Not all teams are at a stage to win consistently. Washington is not there at all. They've shown you this for 20 years. How do you not understand this? So, all right. So by my estimates, it is now 9 o'clock. Let's see. Oh, I know. Trust me, Raiders fans for 30 years. Yeah, because your owner, before he passed, was in love with speedy wide receivers, even if they didn't play football beforehand. If they were track stars, they were, what was it, Alvin Gentry? Who I think he originally played on the Bears, and then, James Jett. I'm trying to figure out some other track stars that played, because, interesting thing about James Jett, I had a cousin that actually taught his cousin, Keisha Jett. She was fast. She was a track star out here in the Maryland area. So that Jett name, I'm very familiar with the Jets. He couldn't catch Darius Hayward-Bay. Yeah. Yo, insight on Darius Hayward-Bay. From an old teammate of his that used to be our team's ball boy in high school, because he wound up playing receiver for my alma mater high school at Wild Lake High. He literally had to learn how to catch in college. They literally took him off the track team. He wasn't at University of Maryland to play football. He was there to run track. That was it. He basically was learning how to catch on the fly. I could tell by the way he held his hands. Because as a receiver, you taught to hold your hands as that diamond. so that way you're not doing this trying to catch a ball. I see a lot of running backs do this. They have their hands open. They're like, and then they go like this, or they don't go like that. I'm just saying, it looks ridiculous when they try to catch it, and that tells you that they're not gonna catch it because their hands are way out here, and they're like, But if you have your hand like this, it kind of makes it easier. Instead of closing to secure the ball, all you're doing is collapsing your hands a little bit, creating a big enough pocket where the ball could sink in and you grip to secure it. You can catch it. You can catch a ball right out here and secure it out here. You just have to make sure that you have your hands the way it needs to be. Boom. That's how it's done. Al Davis would also draft corners who were fast but couldn't cover. Fabian Washington and Stanford route. That's unfortunate. So, alright, so I was hoping there would be some more people here, but obviously throughout the whole night there's been playoffs going on, so I don't know if people didn't get the word. I put the Discord, I guess because I advertised that I was talking about the presidential debate, and understanding my audience is more sports oriented with very few people who well, I appreciate it. Thank you. You know, some people aren't willing to do that for some reason. You know, I found a way, thanks to Pooh, to multitask on one tab, and that's been a big help. I can actually support a multitude of streamers that way better than I was doing, because I had each individual person on a different tab, and I posted the picture on Twitter, and then he sent me the link to this site. And all of a sudden, it was just like boom, boom, boom. I was like, oh yeah, and I can switch who I'm talking to, and it counts for each one. You can have four. You can have, I think, up to 4 streamers on one screen. You can switch who you're talking to in the chat, and you're supporting all 3 at the same time. I think that's big. I actually passed that site on to a friend of mine who moderates for DJs on Twitch, and she loves it. That's Pooh, yeah. You know, the gift keeps giving. You know, what you shared with me, I shared with her. She likes it, I like it. Thank you. So definitely appreciate that. Besides, the Dodgers aren't playing yet. Oh, they play tonight. Hopefully, see a 3-game series. That's an interesting thing. And I talked about this, I think, the first episode of What the Fuck Just Happened. Now I talked about the baseball playoffs, or was it the last? No, it was the last week's episode 2. So, oh yeah, because you're on the West Coast, so it would be 7 your time. So it's like 10 o'clock, I would think, because the game would be at 10. You're 3 hours behind. It'd be 7. The game would be 7 because it's being hosted out in LA. The only time, and I pointed this out in the bracket. It's the only time that the Dodgers will be in LA, because they host all the games. The way the first round works is that the top ranked team hosts all the games. There are no for the lower ranked team, there is no traveling to your field. You got to win 2 out of 3 at that other person's stadium. I think, just to revisit that whole playoff bracket, I think that's best for baseball. Just not with 60 games though, because they talked about it with the Yankees and Indians. They never faced each other during the regular season. Hell, because of some of the cancellations due to COVID, not every team finished 60 games. So I definitely would like to see how this playoff operates, because you're talking about the way it's going to work. The whole playoffs are done by the end of this month. So to go from 16 to a final series, probably in the final 2 weeks in October. They already, obviously the playoffs started this week, last week of September, first week of October. That's going to be interesting after 162 games to have 8 on each side, and basically home field advantage is key in the first round, because because the higher the lower ranked team in the World Series gets those 3 in the middle, because we saw what happened when Houston faced Washington last year. Washington won the first 2, then Houston won the 3 in the middle, and then we came back. And you see, this is what happened. Like we basically came back, won the final 2. The only time it's ever happened where nobody won at home, and the Nationals were your World Series champions. Now there will be new champions, and I think this will be good. So, all right. So Villain Black is like, I'm keeping my eye on the Lakers tonight too. You know, it was funny. Yeah, and unfortunately, Houston's in the playoffs. So, and I think they won. I think they may have won today. I can check that real quick. Do some real-time checking. They won. So they beat the Twins, and they won the series. So they actually moved on. They eliminated the Twins today. Tampa eliminated the Blue Jays. So you already have... So you could have Tampa versus New York, because I guess New York... Oh, no. New York's playing right now, and they're losing. So that may go... And then you were saying, damn, this... So, wait a minute. So the Dodgers hadn't played yet? None of the games in that series haven't been played. Like all the others. St. Louis is up 1-0 on the Padres. Miami is up 1-0 on the Cubs. And Atlanta is up 1-0 on the Reds. So, wow. That'll be interesting. Any other games playing right now? Okay, so that series is tied Athletics and White Sox. But yeah, so far the 2 teams that have advanced are the Devil Rays. I still call them the Devil Rays. I don't care what religious entity didn't like the fact that they would call it the Devil Rays. They are still the Devil Rays. And Houston, unfortunately. So I X'd out the screen. So hopefully whoever plays Houston next takes them the fuck out. Because here's the thing I hate is the fact that, you know, this man was Correa. He was talking shit like, "Oh, we'll be back next year," and blah blah blah. And show you what team we are. I was like, either way, you're still cheaters. I don't care how far you go. You could win the World Series again. You still would classify as cheaters. So let's say we got Bueller starting tonight. I hate it when the Nationals went up against him. In the show, I hate it going up against him. I hope they get taken out tonight too. Yeah, I'm like, obviously Houston's not playing tonight. They're waiting for whoever wins out of the other half of the bracket. And the next round, they go into the bubble of sorts at their bubble locations. So, yeah, so it's rather interesting how that's working. But here's the funny part. Would they do a bubble even outside the pandemic for the playoffs? If next year we got the vaccine, everybody's vaccinated, it's all under control. Hopefully we have a new president. If we have the same president, I'm sure more fires will break out. I wonder they would do it then. Because they need something to combat the fact that you're going to be dealing with hockey playing while you're playing, with the NBA playing while you're playing, and definitely the NFL, with it at least in October. So that's going to be interesting. But I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. Finals is about to come on. It was a short stream, but I think at least we got an hour out the way. So I'm pretty happy about that. So good luck to the Houston. I was about to say Houston. Fuck Houston. Say good luck to the Miami Heat and the Los Angeles Lakers. May the best team win. I know Bills is like, I don't care who wins. I win either way. I'm a fan of talking about Bills here, not me. Like, Bills is like, I'm a fan of LeBron James, but my team is the Miami Heat. Like I said, he's like Deion Waiters. I don't know how that even works. If you're not on the team, you shouldn't be eligible to win the championship if they... Never mind. Anyway, but thank you, Villain, for coming through. Definitely have a good night. Be safe. Enjoy the game. And I think that, let's see, besides Villain, Antonio, put him in the game, came through for a split second. I'm sure he left the moment I started talking about the debate. And I knew, again, that I was up against the wall with these topics. I pretty much felt like a lot of it was, there was a lot of other stuff, but I didn't give myself enough time to really just look into it. So, I'll probably go back to drawing board. Episode 4, I promise, will be a lot better because I can critique myself in real time. There's nothing wrong with that. So, I'm gonna go ahead and close this out. But appreciate everybody that did stop by. And again, have a good night. Please don't, if anybody gets into a debate, if anybody, please keep it to the point. Hear each other out. I know it's a tactic to interject and disrupt somebody's thought process. I'm like, I seem to get it on First and Frame Rates. And let me just remind you, First and Frame Rates, we go live 7:45, 8 o'clock. I'm not even saying 7:30 Eastern Standard Time because obviously we don't go live at 7:30 anymore. So 7:45 or 8 o'clock Tuesdays and Thursdays Eastern Standard Time. Talk about sports and video gaming. It's myself, VF, and Bills 4. So again, we go live Tuesdays and Thursdays Eastern Standard Time, 7:45 or 8 o'clock. And for tomorrow's episode, it's going to be full because we are going to be talking about, we're going to review week 3, but I think we'll make our picks for week 4, at least the first game. Pick the first game for week 4, whoever's playing tomorrow. Then we review week 3, then go back to week 4. You know how we do. We figure this shit out moments before we go live. That's the way it works. So And it's funny because the one person that does follow me, I would think he would probably hear this, and he would probably hit me up on Twitter like, "Yo, I heard you said something about Trump. I'm a Proud Boy," and that person's not a Proud Boy. I'm just saying that you can't tell a group that is notoriously backing white supremacy to stand back and stand by. Oh yeah, I forgot another thing. Trump did express voter suppression live on TV, having people post it out. Yeah, we need to watch those people that vote. Yeah, pretty much like the 50s and 60s when they were trying to make sure when them hooded Klansmen were trying to keep us from voting. Yeah, that's pretty much what he's okaying. So we'll see. All right, folks, I'm out. I'm definitely gonna check out these finals, and I'm gonna relax. I've had a long day. I drove out early to Chantilly, and tomorrow morning I don't have to do a long drive. I just have to get some things done. So it's gonna be bright and early when I do things. So you guys have a good night. Peace.